an update on Cody Rhodes' possible return to WWE, plus what could his WrestleMania 38 plans be, plus we have an update when it comes to Bron Breakker's future. Is he headed to the main roster? All this and more in today's WWE News. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into today in the world of WWE on the road to WrestleMania 38, of course, next month. Less than a month away now to the big show, so it's very exciting and lots of stories swirling around, isn't there, at the moment? So let's start off talking about Cody Rhodes. Yes. Cody Rhodes, we've spoken about him so much. He's not going to leave AEW. He leaves AEW. Oh my God, he's left AEW. He's going to WWE. He's not going to WWE. What is going on when it comes to Cody Rhodes? Well, the answer is we still don't really know. But WWE reportedly does want Cody Rhodes still for WrestleMania 38. On the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer radio show, Dave Meltzer noted that WWE wants Cody Rhodes for WrestleMania 38. The upcoming episode of Monday Night Raw, of course, this coming week is in Jacksonville, so obviously that would be an ideal location for him to return to WWE. He had things set up in regards to WrestleMania 38, but it was taken off the boards recently. There are still talks ongoing between WWE and Cody Rhodes. However, it remains to be seen whether or not anything does actually happen, with Monday being seen as a key date. Since he left AEW, the American Nightmare has been linked with a return to the company, but it is unknown whether or not that will happen. Rhodes last wrestled on the January 26th episode of AEW Dynamite, losing the TNT Championship to Sammy Guevara. So, basically, the update when it comes to Cody Rhodes is there's not much of an update, really, is there? WWE still wants him for WrestleMania. Of course they do. If they still want to sign Cody Rhodes, they've still got huge interest in signing Cody Rhodes, and that's their intention to sign Cody Rhodes. Whether or not it actually happens is another question, realistically, isn't it? I agree with what people are saying. And what this report is saying, in that Monday Night Raw this coming week is from Jacksonville. Of course, they would love. I mean, there is so much. That would be the perfect scenario, realistically, for WWE, right? Cody Rhodes leaves AEW. He was, but he still technically was, an AEW executive vice president, in title only, but still he was an executive vice president. Leaves the company. Where does he return to WWE? Where does he make his return to the company? Only in the town, which is the home base of AEW, Jacksonville, Florida, because that's, of course, the home base for AEW. That's where, obviously, the Khan family, they have the Jacksonville Jaguars, so, of course, they own them in that city as well, but they've also, obviously, got Daly's Place, which is their home base. They call it their homecoming. So Jacksonville is AEW country. So the fact that WWE could be running a show not only in AEW country, but they could have an AEW EVP make his return to WWE in Jacksonville, Florida, that would just be, in their eyes, perfect. Absolutely perfect. And again, it makes a ton of sense. So I agree in that I think Monday is probably a key date. The rumor was that his WrestleMania opponent would be Seth Rollins. The rumor was that his WrestleMania 38 opponent was going to be Seth Rollins. Whether or not that is still actually the case, I mean, it makes sense in terms of what Rollins is doing or isn't doing now when it comes to WrestleMania, right? We saw Rollins and Owens lose that Raw Tag Team Championship match on Raw in the opening match of Raw last week. Kevin Owens is now doing his storyline with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Steve Austin's accepted the KO show offer. He's going to be there in Dallas, Texas. KO show, fight, match, whatever you want to call it. They're having that in Dallas, Texas. So Kevin Owens is busy. He's got his stuff sorted for WrestleMania. Whereas Seth Rollins, we saw Seth Rollins on Raw, right? After the match, he was despondent like Owens, and they did the backstage segment where Rollins was just staring into the distance, completely, full of despair, and his social media profiles have been blacked out, and he's despondent. And it does certainly imply that they're setting something up for Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. Now, we don't know right now what that is. Seth Rollins is going to be on WrestleMania. You don't have a star as big as Seth Rollins and him not be on the show. He is going to be on the show no matter what. So I think, looking at people left on the roster that haven't got matches, logic would suggest that it's really Cody Rhodes, or he's going to have to be shoehorned into someone else's storyline. So I would think that, again, this coming Monday on Raw, that's a really key date for WWE. It's a really key date for Cody Rhodes and WrestleMania. If Cody doesn't show up, Monday night on Raw from Jacksonville, it would suggest that probably he's not going to show up, definitely until after WrestleMania, or if at all. I think the idea that Cody Rhodes going to WWE is a certainty isn't the case anymore. We've heard all those reports saying that, it's uncertain right now. We don't really know. Creative has kind of been told, those plans that you had, still keep them there, but let's make sure we have backup plans because we don't really know what's going to happen at this point. That seems to be the logical kind of situation with Cody Rhodes at the moment. So we'll wait and see. Like I said, Monday seems to be a really big moment for all of that. And, of course, if and when it does happen, we'll talk about it here on the channel. I'm sure as well, between now and Monday, we've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday, plus Monday, we've got kind of 4 days worth of news stories to get through. And I'm 100% sure either maybe not Saturday, but certainly Sunday or Monday, we'll hear something as to whether this is happening or not. We'll either hear, the rumor is that Cody Rhodes might be there, or we'll hear, no, not happening. He's not going. He's, if he shows up in WWE, it's going to be after WrestleMania, or he might not show up at all. So that's kind of the situation when it comes to Cody Rhodes. Now, speaking of other people coming to the main roster very soon, Bron Breakker, the former NXT champion Bron Breakker, is rumored to be headed very, very soon to the main roster. On the latest edition of Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer noted that there is talk of Bron Breakker going to the main roster pretty quickly. It is unknown how quick the transition will be, but he and Gable Steveson, of course, Steveson, I always get that wrong. I always assume there's going to be an N there, but it's not. Steveson, that's of course Olympic gold medalist Gable Steveson, are supposed to be main roster bound. The former NXT champion appeared on Raw this week, picking up a tag team victory. Bron Breakker is also set to be involved in main roster house shows this weekend. Of course, during the recent NXT Roadblock show this past Tuesday, he did lose the NXT championship to Dolph Ziggler. However, it was Tommaso Ciampa who was pinned during the triple threat match. While it's not been confirmed, it is expected that Bron Breakker will face Dolph Ziggler in a title match at NXT Stand and Deliver. And when it comes to Gable Steveson, it is unknown when he'll be making his debut within WWE. The Olympic gold medalist was featured in the draft last year, being placed on Raw. Since that point, he has yet to make an appearance on screen, but he's been backstage at several premium events, though. I believe he was in the crowd at one point, that he might have been referenced. That might be a mistake on my part. But Bron Breakker, like I said, I mean, this is as frustrating as it is and sad to see the old NXT go and the new NXT replace it and, everyone be slightly indifferent on it. This is why the new NXT was put in place. Because with Vince McMahon having a greater hand in all of these facets of NXT, it makes this transition from NXT to the main roster much smoother. And it was a matter of time. I mean, Bron Breakker made his NXT debut on the debut episode of NXT 2.0 last summer. And the moment he did that, he was the first person that came out, and everyone said after that first episode, he'll be in NXT for maybe 6 months. Because he's got the look, he's got everything. He is, he's second generation, of course, son of Rick Steiner. He gets it. He's got a great look, great physique. He can talk. He's got personality, charisma. For a guy as inexperienced as him, he can work really great too. It was a matter of time, and I think, to be honest with you, the appearance on Raw this week was the slam dunk. I think the moment Vince McMahon saw him work, went, yep, I'll have him right now. So for me, it's just a matter of time. I think the only question now becomes, what is going to happen at NXT Stand and Deliver? Dolph Ziggler can't hold that title forever. He's a main roster guy. What's he going to do? Is Bron Breakker going to win the title back, or are we going to see Dolph Ziggler hold on to it for a little bit? Which I wouldn't be against, to be honest. I really wouldn't be against Dolph Ziggler holding on to it. The issue is that if he comes to the main roster, Dolph's still working main roster shows. So what do they do there? So maybe Bron Breakker does win it back, and then just eventually he works both shows for a little bit and eventually drops the belt. I don't know. We don't really know what the call-up process looks like in NXT 2.0 anymore. We knew what it looked like in NXT, right? They treated it like a territory in the sense that you worked your feuds, you worked your matches, you either dropped the belt or you put someone over on the way out and then you went to the main roster. We don't know how it works with NXT 2.0 now. We don't know if it's sort of a phased transition in the sense that you work a lot of main roster shows, but you still work NXT shows for a little bit and then eventually you just stop working NXT shows. We don't really know how that's going to work. So that's interesting, but like everyone, I think, you can just tell that Bron Breakker's got it, hasn't he? He's absolutely got it. He's going to be a huge star. He's going to be a really big deal. There's also rumors, of course, that the Steiner brothers might be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame this year too. So if that's the case as well, I'm sure he'll be the one to induct them. So there's a lot that's going to be going on in the world of Bron Breakker and WWE at the moment. So very interesting times. And I guess the big question will be, if he's called up now, is he going to be on WrestleMania, or are they going to, and this is what I think they might do, they might have him be appearing on both Raw and NXT until WrestleMania, once he either but this is the thing, I don't know what's going to happen to Stand and Deliver. It's very difficult. We'll leave it there. Anyway, guys, be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right hand corner, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.